Up to 500,000 workers are on strike in the UK in the biggest coordinated action in a generation. Teachers, civil servants and train drivers have all walked out, demanding above-inflation pay rises.
The strikes are causing widespread disruption, with many schools closed and no rail services across much of the country. Our correspondent Andrew Wilson reports.
We need you to raise our pay. It's the UK's biggest day of strikes in more than a decade, with walkouts across the public sector. University lecturers, railway staff and bus drivers, teachers and here, civil servants.
500,000 on strike today is the biggest strike in Britain for a decade. And what it's really saying is whether you're a teacher, a train driver, a lecturer or a civil servant, or next week whether you're a health worker, you do not deserve to be poorer at the end of the year than you were at the start, even though you're working harder than ever before. And that is what we face.
Inflation has exacerbated decades-old disagreements over pay and conditions. The government blames prevailing economics and a shortage of cash, and public sector workers say they can't afford to carry on.
We regret any disruption to children's education. As I've said, the teachers here do not want to be on strike. But let's be clear, the disruption to children's education is happening every day. 500,000 children being taught in classes of over 30. 500,000 children being taught by teachers who aren't qualified in the subject that they teach. 1 in 8 maths lessons being taught by an unqualified teacher.
The Prime Minister is still pushing ahead with legislation to limit strike action, but he's just had to fire his Millionaire Party chairman Nadeem Zahawi for suspect personal taxes, so pouring scorn on the lower paid is becoming awkward. The government position, however, remains unchanged.
But what we cannot do is give inflation-busting pay rises to one part of the workforce and, you know, make inflation worse for everybody. That's not an economically sensible thing to do. And we've said, and the Prime Minister has said, he will work his hardest to halve inflation, to make sure it's halved before the end of this year.
And as the railways go quiet for yet another day, public confidence is taking another hit.
Oh, it's terrifying. It's a really, really, really bad time to be here at the minute. Yeah, I don't know, it's quite depressing, it's quite scary. It doesn't really feel like anything's going to change. I don't know, it feels like the demise of the UK.
I think it's very sad that we got to this state that we're having to have people sort of on strike and not being able to work, but the other problem is there's a smallish pot of money to go around.
I've got family that sort of ambulance workers and nurses, and yeah, I mean, I don't think it's about money. I think it's lack of funding more than anything. I think they're upset because people are just leaving because, I mean, the sort of working hours are so bad and the working conditions are so bad.
And as January turns to February, there's still no sign of any resolution anywhere. Andrew Wilson, CGTN.